What's up, guys? How y'all doing today? This is Coach D. Darrell Spears. Happy to be here once again to chop it up with each and every one of you. So, as you all know, previously I created a video called Why Do Married Men Cheat? And so, in that video, there were tons of people who responded and gave comments, and they shared their positions. And so one particular person, shout out to Ms. Josephine, Chat Lives activist, she is, basically a married woman. And I am very, very happy to get, you know, uh, responses and comments from those who are in productive relationships. Uh, Most of the people who actually send comments, particularly the females, are actually married. So Ms. Josephine asked me, she stated, D. Darrell, I get you talking about why men cheat, why married men cheat. So I would like you to discuss why married men don't cheat. Instead of talking about the negative, let's talk about what are the characteristics that consist of a married man who refuses to cheat? And that's a good question. That's a good question. And I'm going to tell you why it's a good question. It's a good question because when we talk about dating relationships, particularly marriage, which, by the way, I did a poll, most people actually want to talk about marital issues. Um, I would say loyal, um, you know, men who refuse to cheat, who believe in fidelity, who are faithful, um, or sometimes in my position that they are, not given their props. They're not necessarily seen as, you know, uh, particularly in the African American community, there's not really a value placed on men who are faithful because in the African American community, we don't have a lot of people, percentage wise, less than 35% of African Americans are married. Somewhere, maybe a percentage or two, give or take, the study shows that African American men are married. And the fact of the matter is that we focus so much on the men who are cheating that we're not giving our attention to follow the behaviors of the men who don't cheat. So, what I have found, both what I've seen in research and what I have seen in my own personal life, and what I have seen both clinically as a therapist. So I'm going to look at it from three different perspectives, Josephine, and for those who are interested. Personally, and career-wise, experience-wise, there are some commonalities. I'm going to speak on those commonalities. First and foremost, there are a lot of married men who refuse to cheat because they saw the negativity of cheating and how it can break up a marriage because of their childhood and seeing maybe their father or their mother cheating, particularly their father. A lot of men who witnessed a father who was a rolling stone saw the negative effects that it had on their mother. And in many situations, particularly as they became older, they were there to console their mother and so on. And so as a man, they decided that they don't want their wife to go through that type of feeling, that type of situation, and they believe in keeping their family together. In many of those situations growing up, a lot of guys saw their families being broken up. Divorces are highly, highly difficult for kids to adapt to and to transition into as far as blended or split families. So they don't want to repeat that same behavior. I've seen that consistent no matter what phase or what area that I'm looking at this from. First and foremost, they don't want to repeat the behavior because they have seen and witnessed and have experienced the negative effect of a man cheating and breaking up his household, breaking up his family. Second and foremost, there are men who just believe in abiding by their vows. They truly believe that as a man, as a husband, as a father, it is your job to uphold those vows 100% until death does its part. And the majority of men don't believe that, but there are a percentage of men who basically hold true to those vows as being sacred, and they will refuse to break it. And now, for most, many of them are guided through religious convictions that contribute to not wanting to break those vows. Now, of course, we all know within churches there's a lot of, I would say controversial situations going on. A lot of underhanded, under the knee, I'm gonna under the table type things going on behind the scenes, extracurricular activities. But for those men who do believe in being faithful, they are guided by their religious beliefs and convictions, and they hold those vows sacred. The third reason that men don't cheat, and I have seen this very consistent, and I have seen in most situations where men don't cheat, is usually a situation where the man loves his wife more than his wife loves him. And I can remember there was a YouTuber. I can't say her name because she was a very controversial person. She's from Louisiana, and she lives in California. But she talked to me about one situation about her mother and her grandmother told her to marry a man who loves you more than you love him. Not to say that you don't love him or you don't love him as much, but you feel that in your position he loves you far more than you love him. And she stated that in her life and seeing men who love their wife so much, even more than they love the wife loves the husband, that those men typically don't engage in extramarital affairs. Now, I don't know as a woman how you feel about your husband actually loving you more than you love him. I don't know if from my position, I can't tell you whether that's a good or bad thing. What I can say is that whatever works for you works for you. And in many marriages, loving someone equally as much is not always obtained. There is some unequalness that does occur. Doesn't mean that the relationship is not functional. Doesn't mean that the relationship is not enjoyable, and you're getting the same benefit as the other. It's just that one partner just has a tendency to be more emotionally involved, maybe as far as going out of their way to do things for their partner. Now, the danger of that is that if that man is giving out way more than what, and he feels that he's not getting back as much in return, then that could be an issue. But I have seen consistently men who love their wives more than their wives love them typically don't cheat. Typically, don't say that there's no 100% science behind measuring that, but typically I've seen men who don't cheat and will be proud to say they've never done it and never will, just because they love their wife so much. Now, in some situations, some wives take that for granted. That's a whole nother topic for another day. Okay? The other reason men who choose to stay faithful continue that throughout the marriage is because they they don't want to lose the wealth, the stableness, the convenience of having a family. They don't want to lose all benefits of being married. They don't want to start over. They don't want to date another woman. They don't want to start over and meet someone else and learn a different person. A lot of men who stay faithful don't want to go through that dating, grueling process again. They want to be out the game. They don't want to get back in the game. They are like, I'm fatigued. Particularly men who have married a woman later, let's say in their mid to late 30s or early 40s, and they've been through all of the trials and tribulations from in their 20s and 30s, and now they're at a point where, look, I'm tired. I don't want to ever go back into that. I am going to stay in this marriage no matter what, and you're gonna have to basically die in order for this relationship to end. That does its part is the only way, because I'm never gonna give up, because I don't want to be back in that single position. Okay? And then also, the last but not least is discipline. Men who stay faithful are disciplined. They have dig discipline. They have sexual discipline. They have accountability for themselves. They value themselves. They value their body. They are not willing to take the risk. They're not about sleeping around with other women. They're not about lying and all the things that come into cheating. Because once you cheat, it involves lying. It involves deception. It involves it's risky behavior, and it can bring about guilt, shame, nervousness, behaviors that are uncharacteristic of that person, and they don't want to go through that. You're just disciplined. You're just disciplined as a person. You're okay with turning down a nice, hot looking thing that you may want to partake in, but you're not willing to take that risk. You are disciplined. You have had a history of turning women down, and there's nothing different in being married in your marriage to also do the same. So I hope that this video can be of a tool to those who are kind of trying to study the science of relationship as it relates to men and women marriage relationships. And so based on my own anecdotal experience, my clinical experience, and also my own personal experience in relationships and seeing things. So appreciate you all for coming in. This is Coach D. Darrell Spears. Have a great day.